Welcome to Resting Binge Face, where two friends binge watch seasons of TV shows and we talk about it. I'm Adam McCoy.
I'm Amanda Kathleen. Adam and I work in TV. We watch a lot of TV. If Adam and I were on a detective unit, it would be Special TV Victims Unit.
Dun dun.
Solving crimes for the television.
Speaking of,
this week we're binging True Detective Season 1.
Season 1.
McConaughey. That's the only thing I think of is McConaughey.
How can you not? That's all there is to think about.
I mean Harrelson, but really McConaughey.
It's a good one. Right? I've heard a little bit of news. Like people are like, oh, it's all right. Maybe.
Everyone's always like, oh, that first one.
I don't know about the first
I
season.
don't know about that one. JK, everyone loves the first season.
They do.
Before we get into the discussion, Adam, why don't you drop some knowledge for us?
A little bit of knowledge about True Detective.
Woo.
So, True Detective, it's an American anthology crime drama series.
Right.
It's created by Nick Pizzolatto.
Uh-huh.
Pizzolatto.
Mm-hmm.
You sure?
Sure.
So he's an award-winning author and short story writer. And he actually had the idea for True Detective as a novel.
Oh.
But he's like, well, maybe that would more relate into television. So he first got his writing career for television in 2010. He started working with like screenwriting, and he wrote a few episodes of The Killing, which heard of that show. He wrote a couple episodes of that. Then he pitched this idea to HBO. They jumped on it, and that's how True Detective was born.
Oh, how easy.
How easy it was. You know, when you're an award-winning author.
You know, it's easy.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, though, that the whole idea was pitched as a novel first, or was conceived as a novel first.
Yeah, I mean, when you watch it, it looks like it could be read as a novel.
So I'm wondering if, when he says that, season 1 was like, this would be a great idea for a novel.
Right.
And they did all of that in season 1. So they had to make a whole new story for season 2 and upcoming, or season 3, which is out now. So they cast, crazy casting choice, Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson as the two leads.
They're BFFs in real life.
The chemistry's great. It's fantastic. The show premiered in January 2014, went on to be nominated for a few awards.
Uh-huh.
So in total, it was nominated for 38 awards between Golden Globes, Emmys, BAFTA awards. Actually won 24 awards.
Oh, wow.
I'm not going to go through all of those because it's too many to list. But the ones that we care about, Emmy awards, that's the big ones for TV, right?
That's the big one.
They won 5 Emmy awards.
Wow.
One for the actual primetime Emmy, the other was for the creative Emmy, which nobody cares about. But Outstanding Director for a Drama Series, they did win that one. Carrie Joy, Fukunaga? Mm-hmm. That guy. He directed all 8 episodes of the first season. Yes, he did. So he won that. But they were nominated for Outstanding Drama Series, Outstanding Lead Actor for both Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson, and for Outstanding Writing. And then they went on for the creative Emmys. They were nominated for a lot of other things, but what they won for was Outstanding Casting. It's a great all-around cast.
Great cast.
Outstanding Makeup for a single camera series.
Yeah, because you see them old. They look old, man.
Yep. Non-prosthetic, which is interesting. So I guess it's all makeup.
Oh.
They won for that one. Outstanding Cinematography for a single camera series, and the cinematography was...
It was really good.
It was like a movie. It was a film.
It was shot on 35.
Yeah, it was very well done.
Which, doesn't really happen nowadays.
Yeah.
Especially for TV.
Yeah, exactly. So it was that one for that, obviously. And then Outstanding Main Title Design. So skip the intro. You better not. Because this one won an Emmy for their intro.
Well, when we get there, the singer is the people that did it are
kind of well known.
Kind of well known. Yeah, but I'll get to that later on. I have a pet peeve about the intro.
Okay. And so lastly, the writer of this, he has written all 3 seasons. Mm-hmm. They have mixed up the directors, though. So they had one director for the first season, all episodes, and they've had 7 other directors. So they only do a couple episodes now of each season. They don't have the same director throughout the whole season.
Maybe that's why season 2. I've heard things.
Mm-hmm. And then your mother had some information that you could drop here.
My mom did.
Yeah.
Good job, Mom. So my mom, Patty, had some knowledge to drop on me. I was talking to her that we were doing True Detective this week, and she is an avid True Detective fan. told me that Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson are executive producers on all 3 seasons.
Wow.
And I didn't know that. I thought maybe it was just the first one, and that's why the second one wasn't as hyped up as the first one. But no, they are all in all the seasons.
They believe in it.
They believe in it. After
That's
the
good.
first one, they were like,
sign us up.
we're going.
6 more, we'll produce those 2.
Whatever you want.
So there you go. Some extra knowledge today.
Thanks, Mom. So Adam's done dropping knowledge on us. We're going to get into the discussion part. If you haven't seen True Detective, I highly recommend it. You need to stop this right now and go watch it. Like, honestly. Like, don't listen to us.
Watch it.
Just watch it and then come back. Because it is gold. That shit is gold.
Don't tip your hand on how you feel about the show, Amanda.
I feel like we've already done that in the drop the knowledge area. But yeah, we're going to do spoilers, so please.
And just go watch the show. Mm-hmm. If you're not into TV crime drama shows, this just feels like a really long movie, but not like a slow movie. It's shot like a film.
Right.
It moves like a film.
Yes.
It's very well done.
Yes.
And so I recommend, watch the show.
Yeah. Try it out.
Even if you listen to us talk about it, we can't mention everything.
Right.
Even if you listen to us first, you can still go back and watch it.
We're not going to talk about everything.
No, there's way too much.
Yeah. Definitely go. Please watch it. Please watch it. Okay. So, overview. Season 1. First episode, we're introduced to Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey, but in present time, but they're a lot older.
Yes, 2012.
2012. And they're being interviewed by 2 detectives on, obviously, they're filming it for their detective purposes. And they're talking about an old case that happened in like
1995.
Well, that's when it wrapped up. I think it started in 93. Started in 93? No, 95. You're right, because it was like a couple weeks or whatever.
Yeah. It just seems longer than that.
I just think it's like it's been 2 years since they've been doing it.
Well, they also time hop to 2002 in the middle, so there is this weird...
There's a couple
3 timelines going on. Yeah.
So they're talking about this case where they found this woman in a sugarcane field. They found her because the sugarcane field was burnt, and normally they're burnt in season. So they burn the sugarcane fields after they're harvested for the new harvest. Mm-hmm. And I know this because I'm from South Louisiana.
There you go.
So
your roots.
My roots.
Sugarcane roots.
Sugarcane roots. So they go out and they find her. She's got some antlers on her head.
Yeah, she has some symbols on her back. She's tied up with her hands behind her back, naked, and facing a tree. It's weird.
Yeah, she's like bent over, facing the tree, so all you see is her back, and you see you get a feel for Matthew McConaughey's character Russ, and then Woody Harrelson's character Marty. So they're different.
Their approaches are different.
Definitely different. I mean, Woody Harrelson out the bat is like, Russ is different.
Yeah.
He's not like everyone else. So
and Russ agrees with that. Yeah. He's like, yep.
So throughout the course of the show, you keep intertwining with the interview, and then you're back where they're doing the detective story in 95, and you're learning about the case, what's unfolding, but you're also learning that Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey had a falling out.
Yeah, they're no longer
communicating. And
McConaughey looks a little unkempt compared to how he looks in the flashbacks. Right. Long hair.
Right.
He hasn't had a great life since then, it looks like.
He's very,
straggly. Facial hair, yeah.
He looks like he's been doing, trucker work.
Yeah. I love that he's in the middle of the interview, he starts smoking, and they're like, you can't do that.
He's like, I can do whatever the fuck I want.
You want me to be here? I'm going to start. And they give him a cup to tip his ashes in. He drinks in the middle of it.
He's like, it's 12 o'clock, and I need to be drunk. So if you want to keep asking me questions.
So that's a good contrast.
Yeah. So
Woody Harrelson's he's still clean cut. He's got a suit on, but then they show
he's got a little belly, he's lived his life. So you find out about their characters. Woody Harrelson's definitely straight-laced, detective with a wife, 2 kids, the lifestyle. And then you have Matthew McConaughey's character, Russ, he's clean cut, but he's like living in an apartment with like no furniture.
There's a mattress on the floor.
There's a mattress on the floor. He's divorced. You find out that he had a daughter and she died, hit by a car.
Kind of started the trajectory of his life after that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's cool because you get to see both their characters, and you have Woody Harrelson, who's like the normal person, and you have Matthew McConaughey, who's like this existential atheist type.
I'm what you might call
I don't think he's an atheist.
A pessimist. It means I'm not fun at parties.
I don't think he's an atheist. I think he's like he believes in like a
nihilist?
higher he doesn't think that there's nothing, but he knows that it's not what everyone in South Louisiana who are highly religious.
He doesn't believe in that.
Right. They have those two opposite sides. And
they have two opposite sides, but then also there's kind of this...
The mutual of like...
Is Woody Harrelson, is Marty's character this clean cut? He has this whole other side that's bad. And then
but like
the moral compass is actually...
Right. Russ has the higher moral compass.
So it's a behind, take off your mask.
Right.
Type of thing. It's just back and forth. Interesting.
Yeah, that they interlude to throughout the whole series. And then...
we're gonna be here for a while.
Well, I'm trying to think. I'm trying not to like touch too much on it. I want to touch more on the story, like the detective story. So
the girl, they find the girl, the body of the woman.
Right. They figure out who she is.
She's a prostitute.
Yes.
They figure that out. They're trying to figure out, who the last person she spoke with.
Right.
They found, they look at the symbols. He's writing down the symbols on her back and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the meantime, they also well, hey, there's this other girl who went missing 5 years ago.
Right. She's a younger girl.
A little girl. Little girl. She went missing. They start looking into that, and
they said, her father took her, but no one followed up on it to see if he actually took her or if she was just been missing.
Yeah. So when they go back to the house, they find this wooden twig triangle pyramid thing, which was at the original crime scene of the prostitute. So it's all kind of tied together.
Yeah. They find out that it's an old Haitian voodoo type ritual. So it's getting, so they think that it's
bigger deal.
It's a bigger deal. They think that it's more of like a devil worshipping type situation. And then there's the religious family Tuttle.
Yeah, they're politicians. Kind of similar to Punisher. This weird religious political family.
Yeah.
So they're like, hey, we're gonna start this task force for
to go find
anti-Christian crimes.
Right, and of course Russ has a problem with that.
Mm-hmm. As he should.
And they want to take the case away from them and give it to the special devil task force.
Dun dun.
Dun dun. And they're like, no, we're gonna find it. We're so close. We're gonna find it. Because I guess normally they find a killer like real
pretty
quick.
Soon, yeah.
But this one's taken some time because it's intricate.
Yeah, it's intertwined to a lot of things. Yeah.
So they do more research. They find out that Dora, the girl that was killed, her ex-husband, who's in jail, talked to some dude about her, and they think that dude is the one that killed her.
Reggie Ledoux.
And then they try to find Reggie, and there's this whole thing about Matthew McConaughey's going to go back underground.
Yeah.
He used to work at
narcotics.
Yeah. So before he got to Louisiana to do the criminal investigation department,
he went deep undercover.
He went deep into cover in Texas, Houston, into narcotics. So anytime they needed someone to go undercover in narcotics,
he's like, I'll do it.
He's a dude. He's like, I ain't got no life.
My kid's dead. I'll shoot up.
My kid's dead. My marriage is over. Let's do this. So they find out Ledoux is cooking crystal meth for this biker group that he used to
affiliate with.
Yeah. So he's like, I'm going to go back undercover. We'll just say I'm going to go hang out with my dad.
Yeah.
He's sick.
Take some leave and go hang out with my dad sick from work. I'm going to take some leave, but I'm really going to go undercover with the biker gang.
Right. So Russ and Marty Russ comes up with this plan and Marty goes along with it. At this time, Marty is kicked out of his wife's house because he's been sleeping with another lady.
Mm-hmm.
And she finds out because the lady comes over to the house to tell her.
Yeah.
Well, we don't see that. It's implied.
Yeah. He sees the young lady with somebody else and he goes crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how can you be with somebody else even though I'm with you.
Right. He takes him out at her apartment.
Yeah. So
yeah,
she comes back and be like, "Hey, look, your husband and I had something going on. He's crazy."
He's crazy.
Yeah. So then she tries to leave him.
So they separate for a second. So he's staying at Russ's.
Beautiful place.
My favorite though is like when he's talking on the phone with his side chick.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I can't believe you went over to talk to my wife at my house where my children are. I'm gonna skull fuck you. I'm just like, what?
Yeah, he's into some weird stuff.
I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah, family man that he is.
So he's hanging out at Russ's. They come up with this plan. Russ goes undercover. So he starts this process by doing a lot of cocaine.
Yep.
Getting hyped up again, trying to
Hope
look
he doesn't
like
start
he's
seeing visions again.
Yeah. Oh, he sees visions.
From all the years of
drug
use.
That plays a part in it.
Yeah.
So
he ends up making his way back in. They're like, "Hey, we'll let you in. You got to help us with this job, though, that we're gonna do.
His job is like robbing more drugs."
But it leads to this awesome 6-minute tracking, all one shot
it's so good.
scene where they go into 2 different houses.
They go
back and forth. People get shot into a car.
Ugh,
it's crazy. I wonder.
It's so good.
I wonder how many times they had to run through that.
I don't know. That'd be good to know.
I can see why it was nominated for cinematography because that was really, really well done.
Yes. So like in the middle of it, Matthew McConaughey's like, "Fuck this dude," and like Russ grabs his friend and like, "We're not doing this." So like you follow him trying to get out. So that's that 7-minute thing.
Yeah, because it all goes awry. Someone shoots somebody when they shouldn't. All this stuff happens.
Because he wants to know who's cooking crystal meth for him, and the guy's like, "Well, I'm not going to tell you until you help me do this job because we're short a dude." And he's like, "Fuck, all right, fine." So he gets pissed off and's like, "Fuck this. I'm just gonna take you and we're just gonna get that guy."
Calls Marty, picks him up.
They go to a meeting place, a bar, obviously, the only place you can meet at. And he meets Ledoux, sees him face to face, and's like, "Hey, we want to work out a deal." And Ledoux's like, "Fuck you guys. Where's the head dude?" And he's like, "Well, we're trying to do a side stuff." He's like, "Don't fucking call me anymore." And then he leaves. And then Woody Harrelson follows him. He trails him.
Trails him back to the place.
Trails him back to some, like a couple sheds.
Yeah.
In the middle of a field.
True meth fashion.
Hiding out, yeah.
It could have been a big RV.
It could have.
It could have been a crossover episode between Breaking Bad and that.
So they go there and they it's a great scene because the detectives ask them like what went down that day, and both Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey have the exact same story. And you're listening to the story about how it was like they showed up, they were gonna call for reinforcements, they saw them, there was a shootout, there was like AKA like machine gun like pop,
just
like
really
everywhere.
Interesting story.
Yeah, and then you see it on the other, like happening past, and it's like
not that
they
way
get
at all.
there, they're gonna go in. They didn't call for anybody. They see Ledoux go into a shed, try to sneak over there, and then they go into the house. There's another dude, another Ledoux family cousin. They get him out and have him kneel on the ground outside with his hands behind his head, and they're waiting for the other dude to come out, and Woody Harrelson's checking the premises.
What does he find?
He finds 2 children locked up in a shed. One of them is dead. One of them is catatonic. And he is like...
He doesn't take it very well.
He doesn't take it very well. For someone who's supposed to be morally... have his moral arrow be straight... He has a hard, like, it's this weird dynamic where he's okay cheating on his wife, but he has a hard time seeing, like, children in positions of sexual abuse. So he sees it and he cannot take it. And he comes out and he shoots the dude in the head kneeling on the ground. And then the other Ledoux comes out and they kind of exchange fire.
Firefight.
And then Ledoux goes off to run and he forgets that the whole premise... is surrounded by booby traps with like grenades.
Kabloom, yeah.
And he like hits it and he like blows up.
Then they're like, that escalated quickly.
Yeah, and so like Russ is super smart. He's like, okay, this is what we're gonna do.
I love him going into action. We're gonna do this.
We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. He grabs the AKA, starts shooting around to make sure it looks like that's what was going down. Mm-hmm. It's a really great scene. So they think they caught their man.
And then they
celebrate.
One of my favorite parts of that is right after Woody Harrelson shoots the guy. McConaughey is like, I'm glad to see you finally stand for something. Like, you're finally on the right path. You did the right thing. Way to kill that guy.
Way to do that.
Yeah.
Woo, everything's great. So from 95 to 2002, they're just living the life, man. Mm-hmm. They're like #1 detectives, getting shit done.
Marty and his wife are back together. Yeah. They got over that. Mm-hmm. Russ has started dating again. He's kind of back. He's hey, you know what? Things aren't so bleak, maybe. But then he's in an interrogation with a guy. Mm-hmm.
Well, he's the #1 interrogation guy.
Yeah.
If you need someone to talk, you get Russ. Yeah. Because he knows how to talk to people.
How to get inside people's head.
Yeah.
And then the guy's like, look, I got some information, if you spare me, on this Yellow King guy that everyone's talking about.
And he's like, how do you know that?
He's still alive.
How do you know about Yellow King? Because Yellow King is supposed to be written in Dora's diary.
Yeah.
So it's not something released
that everybody
to the press.
Would know about, yeah.
So he gets all like, what are you talking about? What's going down? He starts beating him in the interrogation. And they pull him out. They're like, we had him, and you had to go fuck him up. And so everything starts going downhill from there.
It'll be fine. We'll ask him later. Oh, wait. He dies.
Oh. And they think that Russ made him kill himself or something. So the entire time the detectives are asking them questions in the present, you get the feeling that they think Russ is the killer.
Yes.
So I don't know if they try to get the audience to think that.
I think a lot of people were thinking that. I think that's a pretty simple plan to fall into.
It's like, yeah. So the entire time they're trying to get you.
Force-fed to you. Like,
yeah, really. Like, we get it. You think that Russ is a killer. But, like, honestly, when you look at Russ in the old past, it's like...
There's no way. Yeah.
So, like, the entire time they're trying to get Russ to confess to something that he's a killer or whatever because of all the stuff happening. Like, the guy slit his wrists. Like, he found out about Russ or something.
Yeah.
So they're trying to find out if Russ is the one...
Is the actual killer.
But you see Russ trying to figure out then at that point when the guy tells him about the Yellow King that they may have been wrong and the killer might still be out there.
Yeah.
So he's doing more investigation and he finds this old school with a bunch of the little stick teepees in it.
Yeah.
And you find out that school was run by the Tuttle family.
The Tuttle family.
And he's like, okay. So he goes to talk to a reverend that he talked to early on in 95 when they were doing the investigation about Dora. And I thought he was going to be the killer.
Yeah.
I was like, he's killer.
They kind of painted him that way a bit.
But
Creep factor.
He's not. So he goes talk to the reverend who's no longer a reverend, who's drunk and like smoking marijuana and like out of it. And he's telling him that he used to be a janitor for the Tuttle organization for like one of the schools before he became a reverend.
Yeah.
And how he found pictures of
stuff.
Children like dressed up and or not wearing clothes.
Yeah, some pictures that you shouldn't have.
Right. And so he brought
it exist.
He brought it to the head of the school, or no, the head of the foundation.
They were like these Christian school /
It was like a magnet program type situation.
They had a few of them around, and it was kind of like a whole program.
And he brought it to them, and he was like, you need to shut up about it. Like,
you see nothing.
So Matthew McConaughey takes that information and goes to the head Tuttle, the one that wanted to do the Devil Task Force. He's just talking about like tax things.
That guy
he wants to look at, some things on his tax forms. And Tuttle gets real upset about it.
That guy gets real nervous.
And he tells the chief, and he real mad about that because I think they get money from the Tuttles.
Yeah.
And then at this point, Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey are kind of like, they're like bickering. They're a bickering couple at this point.
It's getting a little rocky. About to get a lot rockier.
Because the detectives bring in Woody Harrelson's ex-wife. Now ex-wife.
2012.
And they're like, what happened between Marty and Russ? And she's like, I don't know what happened. And then you go back to the past and you see she get real drunk because Marty's cheating on her again.
Again, with another, a young prostitute he met during the original investigation.
So he meets like this like underage prostitute during their investigation of Dora. And he like gives her some money.
He tries to get her out.
Yeah.
He's like,
he's trying to be nice.
Yeah.
And then he meets her back in 2002. She's like a grown up now. Better in her life.
And things happen.
And things happen. She's got daddy issues. She definitely likes Marty.
And so then she starts texting pictures of herself to Marty.
And of course, who finds out?
His wife.
So
she's like, I'm going to get Rust drunk. And I'm going to have my way with him. Just to piss off Marty.
Yeah, it's bad. Like, she knew, like...
Oh, it was totally intentional.
Like, she tried to go have sex with, like, some random dude, but she's like, I can't do it. But, like, also, like, it's like an extra knife in the back.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, not only did I have sex with someone else.
It was your partner.
It was your partner that you also kind of don't like.
Yeah.
So...
He already makes you feel inferior in other ways.
He already makes you feel inferior. Yeah. So, Russ gets suspended because he went to go talk to the Tuttle man. And he comes back to grab some of his case files because he's still working the case, trying to find the killer. And Woody Harrelson finds out he's in the parking lot, and he comes out, and there's this great scene of Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey fighting in the parking lot.
Right in the parking lot.
Oh, like Russ is trying to like not hit Marty as much as possible, but Marty's trying to hit Russ as much as possible. So like Russ moves out of the way at one point, and Woody Harrelson just like smacks the back of his truck. I was like, he breaks his taillight.
It's like Mr. Miyagi from Karate Kid. Just move out of the way.
I was like, damn. They bring him into the office, and Russ quits
He's like, that's it, I'm done.
He's done.
And never to be heard of again until...
No, he goes to Alaska, and then he finds out there's still killings going on, so he comes back to Louisiana. And that's where we pick up present day. The investigation's going on because they found a woman tied to a bridge with the antlers on. So they're continuing the investigation.
Like, oh, it's happening again.
But they think it's McConaughey because he's been at several of the crime scenes.
Yes,
and they have
he's
pictures of him, which they dumb. But anyway, every time they ask him questions throughout the whole season, he's always implying that there's he can't. He's always like hinting to you got to look up.
Yeah.
Like, you look up the line, guys.
It's a bigger deal.
Bigger deal. Tuttle's dead at this point. I don't know what happened to him. I think I don't think somebody killed him.
No, I think
he
it
had
was
like a heart attack
or
something. But they find out that his house has been broken into. And they think that Russ killed Tuttle and broke into his house. He did break into his house.
But he didn't
You
kill
find
him.
that out later.
Yeah.
So after Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey are done talking to the detectives, they kind of like reunite.
Hey, maybe we should...
Russ is like, hey, Marty, I know we hate each other, but we have a debt. And,
yeah,
and
for old time's sake, let's pick the investigation back up.
Right, and Marty's like, I don't know about this. He begrudgingly goes to his shed
Storage
that he won't
locker.
show the police, and he's gonna kill me here. And
he's got his gun ready just in case.
He's got his gun ready.
Sure, it's a good idea. Let's go to this empty place.
And he turns on the light, and you see like all the work that he's done trying to
the big crime scene or investigation room with
Right.
stuff on the wall, files. He's really looking into it, and then he proceeds to show Woody Harrelson
the tape
that he
found at Tuttle's,
which was horrible.
Yeah, so it's the little girl that ran away, well, that was missing.
Yeah.
That they thought went with her father, and she didn't go with her father.
No.
Obviously, they captured her and had like weird
ritual. She's in a hood, and all these men are around her, and then
she's got the antlers on.
They cut away because they don't.
They don't show you, but Woody Harrelson's face says it all.
Yeah.
He's like horrified. So after he sees that, he is in. He's like, let's get these terrible people. So they continue the investigation. They go back and talk to past old detectives, try to find out what's happening. Meanwhile, the other detectives are still trying to find out what's happening.
Yeah, they're still investigating it too.
And they go down they try to find that old church that I think Russ was talking about or something. And they go and they stop and they talk to some dude about directions. And then you look at him and you see that he's got scarring underneath his face, and the entire time everyone talks about the guy with the scar with like burn marks under his chin. Like everyone who's like seen him and lived talk about the scars. Yeah. Even
and the girl talked about the green-eared spaghetti man because of the face yeah.
So at this point, Russ and Marty are looking for that dude because they think he's the one that's killing all the girls and the women. Mm-hmm. And so you see him on the tractor.
You're like, hey!
Cut to, he was, like, Matthew McConaughey interviewed him in, like, 95, and you see him mowing some other old church, dilapidated
But he's all covered in dirt.
He's all covered in dirt.
He's setting the mower, so he's not tall.
Right.
So it's like, oh.
But he's supposed to be this monstrous dude.
Yeah.
And you see him, and, like, you're like, that's him!
That's him!
And then after you see him, you learn a little bit more of him. He's, like, he has this dead father tied up in a shed.
Yeah.
And then the house is like a hoarding house.
Yeah.
He has some woman that he
it's like his sister.
Has sex with.
I think it's like it's
a relative?
Yeah, it's a relative. Some weird stuff going on.
I mean, that's all you get from him. And then Matthew McConaughey and Russ track him there. Mm-hmm. And there's this big to-do where they're following him, and they go into this old fort place, and he's like trying to find him. It's a really creepy
intense scene, yeah.
It's super creepy.
It's like 10 minutes of just
trying to figure out where he is.
Yeah, and he's hearing the voice in his head.
He's hearing him talk, and he gets to like the middle of the fort, and like he like looks up and he sees the sky, and then he looks down and he has this vision again. He has his vision, and then all of a sudden, the dude pops out and stabs him in the fucking belly.
Right, yeah. And then full to the hilt knife into the stomach. And the guy is a big guy.
The guy's so big,
reminds me of Under the Giant.
Lifting up Matthew McConaughey with the knife inside of him. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, what's happening? Yeah. And then finally Woody Harrelson gets there. There's a brawl.
Yeah, Woody Harrelson takes a hatchet to the chest.
Ugh. There's a brawl. Finally, like, the guy's going to kill Woody Harrelson. And then all of a sudden, bang! Half of his head is gone.
Yeah, and McConaughey or Russ
kills him.
Shoots him in the head. And all their wounds look pretty severe at this point.
Oh, yeah. They're not doing so well. Yeah. We're not even sure if Russ is going to make it at this point. And then finally the police get there because Woody Harrelson's character, Marty, called him.
Not like when they were at the last.
He was like, look, we're going to call you, like, when we get there. Yeah. At that point, you find out he was definitely the killer. Mm-hmm. There's a bunch of bodies hanging out all around. Yeah. The place. He was related to the Tuttle family. Yeah. He was a bastard son of somebody. Obviously his dad in the shed. Yeah.
But he was like, I think, he was abused as a kid.
He was abused as a kid.
And then he's the one who been doing this to
the Tuttle family's been doing this ritualistic thing forever.
Yeah. So it's a weird interconnected thing, but the one who you think it was this other kind of side character that something happened to. Right. Who was doing it on that way, on his own. Right. But there still is the whole weird 5 horsemen. Yeah. Tuttle weird, like that picture they show whenever they go to visit the mother of Dora, right? The picture they have up of her. With these guys, are they Klan hoods that they're in?
What like it is, weird. It's a Mardi Gras thing. So like,
it's creepy looking.
It's creepy as fuck. So like, their version of it is like I don't know if that's a real version of the Mardi Gras thing, but if you go to some of the parades and the Mardi Gras, some of the people will have the white sheet over their face, covering their face. It's a old tradition, but I don't know what the fuck they were doing.
Yeah, it was creepy. So all that is going on, and the tape of the in Tuttle's house, but the Childress was not part of that part of it. He was kind of his own weird faction of this.
Right. I think he took a little bit of their ritual and like made it into his own. And the final episode is just them in the hospital trying to recoup and stuff. And there's a great moment where Matthew McConaughey is like, he's alive. And Woody Harrelson's like, takes him outside.
Got you something.
Got him some cigarettes.
Some Camels.
And then he has this great, like, he goes off about talking about how he was in the darkness.
Yeah. He saw his daughter.
He felt the love of his daughter and his dad. And like he like just breaks down at that point. And that's pretty much how it ends.
Well,
It's
yeah,
just
he
him,
says
like,
that
talking about
it was like he welcomed death because he also mentions that
Right.
about looking at these pictures of these women
Right.
that you can see in their face that
Right.
they welcome death at
They
the end,
at
right?
one point
How-
they're happy to
Yeah, it's like
go into the
okay,
darkness.
and that kind of mirrors what he was saying. And then that part, like I was in this, I felt the darkness, or I'm here, and I felt my daughter and my dad, and I was. They were like, "Hey, you can join us." Essentially, he wanted to, and he did, but he didn't. So nothing happened from it. And then the last line is, the world is darkness and light fighting, and then I think light is winning. Right. That's kind of how it ends right there.
Right.
So it kind of implies that his whole philosophy has changed.
That he's
That now it's not saying like he's this Bible thumping Christian now, but
that maybe there's something more to
his original view was like, look, the world's chaos. No matter what happens, it's going to be chaos.
Correct.
But now he's kind of flipped his perception a bit.
Right.
And light is winning.
Yeah.
And that's the end.
That's the end.
Some people didn't like the end.
My mom did not like the end. I can tell you that right now.
I'm just curious, the people who didn't. Okay, so that's the sum up of the show.
That's the sum up of the show.
We can discuss now. I'm curious as the people who did not like the ending, like what they would want in place of it.
I kind of get it. I feel like there's no, like, they get the killer, but, like, there's no...
I mean, is it people who want closure and seeing McConaughey clean cut again, get a job, working with Marty again?
I don't know. Well, this is how I feel about the ending. I think it's, like, they do a great job telling the story, intermingling the present with the past. You're following the story. They do it very well. But once you realize who the killer is, we don't spend enough time with him.
Yeah, it's kind of a convenient ending on it.
Right. It's like, oh, here's the killer. He kind of lives in a dilapidated house. He's gross. You get it. But I think I would like more. I think like when someone watches Seven, you get to see the workings of, even though you don't know who it is till the end, you still get to see the inner workings of his mind and how he is like twisted and
why he thinks the way he does.
Why he thinks the way he does. But we don't get that here. Like we don't understand, like we get that it's a family thing, but like why were you like doing your own, we don't get that. I
think part of that I actually like, because it kind of implies the whole time you think it's one thing. And if you're listening to the story, like the way Rust, McConaughey's character, thinks, the world's just screwed up.
Right.
So you may, even though what you're looking at is like, oh, it's this has to be what it is. This whole time down here, it's just this one random lawnmower man,
right,
who happens to be doing this.
Right.
So you're just, I think it more leads to there's, bad stuff everywhere. And it's like, okay, you can focus on this and you may think, okay, this is it. If I can get this one, if I can narrow down this one high-powered organization, if I can cut the head off that snake,
right,
then this is all going to end. Well, there's still going to be the random psycho person out there who may do something bad.
Right.
So I think it kind of alludes to that fact of his persona of, look, we're all in chaos, and it's kind of a decaying, hey, the world's in decay. So the scenery even kind of represents that. Everywhere they go is kind of run down this way. So I think it's just their take on the world, essentially.
I still would have liked more. I still would have liked more, like, of figuring out, like, who that guy is. Like, really what happened to him as a kid. Like, how did that really affect him, like, now? I would have liked more of it. I would have liked more of, like, I don't know, the whole story. Like,
well, maybe that goes along with the fact that we didn't even talk about it. Marty's daughter is screwed up in her own way.
I know, but, like, that whole subplot's like, okay.
But maybe it's a sideline. Like, maybe stuff like that we don't think about. Maybe it isn't anything huge. Maybe it's something like that. And then later on turned you into a monster that way.
I think the whole subplot with the kid didn't even need to be there. Like, it really didn't do anything other than to say, like,
I think it was
his sexual tendencies led his daughter to be more like,
I don't even think it's that. I think it's the fact, because the two times that you see it referenced, whenever one of his daughters, he walks in and there's a room and all the Barbie dolls are in this very suggestive with the Barbie doll on her back and people all around her, she's naked, right? And then another time she has these drawings of these things. But both times this happened, Marty opens the door, sees it happening, and then just turns around and doesn't say anything.
Because he's not an active father.
And then whenever he has the drawings, he sees the drawing, closes the notebook, and just throws it down.
Right.
So he never intervenes that way. So I don't think it, I'm not saying think that it's completely related to his sexual exploits,
Right.
Whatever, because I don't know if that even makes it into that.
I think it does, because it's like, instead of being a father, he'd rather go out and bang some
Yeah.
chick.
Yeah, exactly. And so he doesn't pay attention. I'm not
Right.
sure, like, she ever saw him do it. Maybe she saw a text on his phone. I don't know. But
She knows he's not there, though.
yeah. So I think the whole point of that was like, look, you're seeing all this stuff happen. You saw how he freaked out whenever he saw
Right.
the kids there, when he saw the tape, how much he couldn't handle it. But here is his own daughter doing this.
Right.
And he's just like, oh, well, guess I'll just close the door and forget I saw anything.
Forget I did anything.
I know, that's another one where there should have been more payoff. And I think some of that was...
I think that's what it is, because that is what gets me frustrated with some movies, is that they set up a side plot, but they don't finish it. And it's like, okay. Like, why even start if you're not going to...
Let's say don't show a gun in the first act if you're not going to use it.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But it's all those things doesn't hinder the show.
No,
it's
it's
a
still
very
very
good show.
enjoyable.
I think because they alluded to Matthew McConaughey being the killer so much, I think had he been the killer at the end, my mind would have been blown.
Yeah.
Because he, like, the entire time you're watching it, he's not, like, you're like, he's not the killer.
Yeah.
The entire time. You love him. He's obviously not going to be the killer. When you find out he's not at the end, you're like, duh. Of course he's not the killer.
If it were, like, drug dealers that were dying, you'd be like, oh, maybe it's him. But not kids and girls.
Yeah.
Or women.
Like, he set up his character so nicely that, like, he's a nice dude. Like, he's not going to go do that.
He'd never sleep with his partner's wife.
Right. Well, technically, she's the one that... He was so mad after that.
Yeah.
He was like...
Yeah.
Oh. He didn't hit a woman, but, if he was going to hit a woman, he was going to hit her. But, yeah, I felt like that time with the detectives could have been used differently. I get that they're like, oh, everyone's going to think it's McConaughey. Had he been an asshole the entire time, I would have been like, yeah, it's totally McConaughey. And then at the end when it wasn't, I'd be like, oh, it wasn't McConaughey.
Well, I think that was all side stuff, kind of like the part with his daughter. I think it was like maybe they were trying to intertwine so that people would be like, hey, maybe this means that
maybe
something's happening to her from somebody else or something else is going on. But I know you can't address every single thing. If it could be all tied up, it would be perfect. It would be nice. But it didn't ruin the show for me. I still really enjoyed the show.
But I think had it been McConaughey, my mind would have been blown.
Yeah, I'd have been more upset. I'd have been more upset if it were McConaughey. Some people are like, oh, it's just some redneck guy.
Right.
That's kind of annoying.
Right.
But I think I was fine with it. And I didn't mind the ending.
It was good. I didn't mind the ending. I liked everything.
I've read some things where people who like atheists specifically were like they liked his character, his take. Right. And then at the end it was like, oh no, see he caved and now he doesn't have that viewpoint anymore. Now he has this new outlook like, oh, there is good, there is that. Just some complaints that I read online.
I think you can look at that at both sides, because I've seen stuff where like people like really believe and then that happens and they don't believe anymore. I maybe because of the writer belief tendencies. I do like, because I'm from South Louisiana and it's a very heavy religious area, but like Catholicism religious area. I like the story and how it intertwines with religion and not religion. Them setting it up in Louisiana was perfect.
Yeah.
Because, the counties are called parishes down there. Because
Writer's from there, by the way. The author grew up in Louisiana. So
he knew.
Yeah.
So he knows there's like this weird line of religion is everywhere, whether you believe it or not. Down in South Louisiana,
it's just part of it.
It's just a part of life.
Yes.
Like that's just how it is. Like,
and that's why it's such a big deal. Like whenever again, it was 95 too. But whenever he says, I'm a pessimist, I don't believe in God.
Yes.
And Woody Harrelson's character's like, just don't tell people that.
Yeah, don't tell people.
That's how that people here do believe in that.
Right.
Just keep that to yourself.
Right.
So
I don't care what you do. Just don't get
me
in trouble.
It's not like but it goes to your point. Like, it's not like he's saying, oh, I can't be friends with you this. He's just saying, hey, that's just not the way things go here.
Right.
It's a way of life.
It's a way
here.
of life down there.
Don't go around spreading that you think that way.
Yes.
He's almost protecting him.
Yeah,
like if you did, it's like people are gonna give you a hard time.
Well, he's his partner, so he's like, look, don't So I really like that aspect of it.
Yeah, I think it was good. I really, so just the way the show was done, just really quick, about parallels with other stuff. So you brought up Seven earlier.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much of this that's so similar, even the shots and stuff,
Yeah.
to David Fincher's Seven.
Mm-hmm.
Like when the cars are driving, the overhead shots,
Right.
even the things in there, it's just very similar.
Yeah.
And a very similar feel. That and that kind of just a lot of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre elements to it.
It has a lot.
Whenever Laveau, what's his name? Yeah, Ledoux.
Mm-hmm.
When he walks out with a gas mask, and that's that slow motion shot, and that's very Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Kind of the scenes they have in there. It's he's this whole other creature thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there are a lot of parallels with other things that I saw, but I think it was done really well.
It was done really well, and I think it's because it has the same director. I think
throughout
I think that's why it works.
And that could be why the second season was not received as well, because it looks like from what I read, they had at least 3 or 4 different directors for it. So if you don't have that same vision going throughout the entire season, I think it's gonna hurt it. And I don't know how if the first one was written like one concise. I mean, that was a pretty detailed story. I haven't. We'll
if
watch
it was
the
a
second
one-off.
Yeah. We'll watch the second one next week. We'll see.
We're watching the second one.
Maybe I'll love the second season.
Who knows? My mom likes it.
I mean, I do think it's just hard to compete with McConaughey and Woody Harrelson, and I'm sure
they're
the
so
storyline
good together.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, they're playing themselves in this. Really,
They are. Yeah.
Can we just be honest?
Maybe heightened versions and lowered versions of themselves in certain aspects, but it's the same thing.
They're great. They're also great because they're from Texas, so like they get the whole Southern feel.
I will say I didn't like it seemed to drift off in the later episodes, but the pilot, Woody Harrelson, the way he spoke, it seemed like he had something in his bottom lip.
He does that a lot, though.
I know when he tries to do act, it seemed really prevalent in the first episode.
Maybe it's like a nervous tick.
Maybe, like he was talking that way.
Maybe.
But McConaughey was spot on.
He was spot on, and I do appreciate them not. Maybe this has to do with the creator being from South Louisiana, but like none of them have that stupid Cajun accent.
Yeah,
that's not real.
I guarantee you're gonna love this show.
I appreciated that so much. I was like, thank you. And then like the Reverend that they talked to, like he did. I've seen him before. He's a great actor.
Yeah, I've seen him some stuff. He's a good character actor.
I think he did a good accent because it was like, it's this weird like New York and then kind of a Cajun dip like here or there. He did a really good job. I really liked his accent. I was like, that's pretty good. So overall, it was a really good season. Going to the intro, I really liked the graphic work in the intro.
It looked amazing.
It was beautiful. I don't like the song. It's that twangy song again. But I felt like because it was in South Louisiana, it should have been something more geared toward that area and not so Texas Southern, you know? It should have been more like Cajun type. Not like...
You want Zydeco?
Not like, like comical Zydeco, like... But like something...
I can see that.
Something towards the feel of the show, I guess.
I will say, yeah, and graphically it looked awesome. It was done very, very well.
It was beautiful.
It looked really good. It was just long, and I wasn't a big fan of the music. So this is definitely one that I would skip.
Yeah, I skipped it several times. I was like, I want to get to the good stuff.
Yeah. Speaking of that, getting to the good stuff, what about the bingeability of it?
5 all around. I kept wanting to watch it, but they're so long, so I had to stop myself, and then I couldn't wait to get home to watch more.
I'm going 4.5.
4.5. That's your highest.
Yeah, that's my highest so far. So,
it was really good.
I had a hard time stopping watching it.
Yeah.
It was good.
It was really good. And then like all the episodes are my favorite. I can't find one that isn't my favorite because each one has something great.
Well, yeah, because it's almost like it's all one episode really, like one movie. Track and Shot was still really cool though.
Track and Shot was awesome. Yeah. The scene in the fort was great.
The last the second.
Right, the second to last or the last one, whatever. All the investigation. I love crime dramas. They're my favorite. So.
Any pet peeves?
No, I mean I talked about it, like them alluding to Matthew McConaughey being the killer the entire time was annoying as fuck. Because I was like, obvious, but like it was like so drawn out. I was like, okay, we get it. You think that's him. We get it. Everyone gets it.
We know what you're trying to get us to go.
We know what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
Nobody believed you.
Yeah, I really didn't have any either with it.
I really enjoyed it. I love it. think I love the show.
All right. Can't
I
wait
don't know
for
how
the
I
next
feel about
season.
the next season, but this one gets Amanda's stamp of approval.
Cha-ching.
And that leads us into Snack Attack. What are you snacking on while you binge True Detective? Adam?
For me, it was cake.
Cake.
There are 2 birthdays in my house this month,
okay.
so we had a ton of cake. So I partook in some chocolate cake with some ice cream.
You were just indulgent.
Yeah.
Indulging yourself.
All right. The chocolate cake.
So if you want to have a True Detective party and you want to throw some police snacks into the mix,
Donuts.
number 1 is donuts. Number 1 snack of all. Police detectives everywhere. You can also do pigs in a blanket.
Ooh.
Ooh, yeah.
Get a little, okay, all right. Hope you don't actually invite any cops to your party, but okay.
Throw some of those on a plate. You can also have some cop corn. It's popcorn, but you change it.
How about corn on the cob?
Corn on the cob.
Okay.
Any food that you can put cop in.
Yeah.
You could do that. Pizza. I feel like pizza is like the go-to food.
No
of
pun
cops.
there. Yeah.
Popo pizza.
There you go, yeah. Poporoni pizza.
Poporoni pizza.
All right.
You could do that one. And then finally, the one thing every cop needs. Beer.
Flan. Beer, okay.
Beer, yeah.
What kind of beer?
Any old
Any
beer
kind
will
of beer.
do. In a can, in a bottle, in a keg, whatever your choice. Throw some of that in there. I think that.
So in your mind, every police officer is Chief Wiggum from The Simpsons.
Pretty much.
Get 'em, boys.
Wake up, eat some donuts. Lunchtime, get some pizza. Going home, drinking beer.
There you go.
That's it. So that was Snack Attack.
That includes. Oh, there's a sirens outside now. Uh-oh.
We don't have any more donuts, I promise. I apologize if you are a policeman and you're listening to this.
Police officer.
Police officer, policewoman, detective.
Private dick. Detective.
Any law enforcement listening, thank you for listening to True Detective, Season 1.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
For True Detective, Season 2. That's what we have going on next week.
Next week, True Detective Season 2.
And then in 2 weeks.
True Detective Season 3.
And Game of Thrones Season 4.
Ooh. All over the place.
It's going to be fun.
I don't know how I feel about True Detective Season 2. We'll see.
I'm hoping that the expectations are so low that I will not be disappointed.
There you go.
Because I have whenever someone talks about how great a movie is or a TV show is, I normally watch it. I'm like, it was good, but it wasn't that good.
Right.
But when I go into one where people are like, this movie sucks, this TV show is the worst, I'm like, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to be like, okay, I could see it wasn't as great as the first
Right.
one, but I don't think I'm going to be that disappointed in it.
I think I have mixed feelings about the cast. Like, who takes Colin Farrell, Rachel McAdams, and Vince Vaughn and just throws them in a bag and like, do your thing?
It's like they had a comedy written.
Right.
This romantic comedy.
This romantic comedy.
A girl meets 2 guys at a crime scene.
I'm just like, I don't know how I feel about this.
And they're out of their comfort zone.
They're out of their comfort zone.
I like Vince Vaughn.
I like them all separately, but together, I'm a little worried. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Well, stay tuned to see how we feel about that next week.
Maybe my mind will be changed. Maybe it won't. I feel like it won't. Thank you guys for listening. If you like this episode, please like, subscribe, and share. If you want to leave us a comment, you could do that too. Maybe you don't like Matthew McConaughey, in which case there's a door and I'll show you to it.
But to get to the door, you got to walk past all the pain and suffering in the world.
Matthew McConaughey-isms. We will see you bingers next week.
Bye.
Bye.